Welcome back to the Crypto Trends Podcast, where we cover all things cryptocurrency, blockchain, Web 3.0, and AI. I'm Robert Croak, and I'm joined by my co-host, Armando Pantoja. Both of us and our amazing team are excited to bring you the best information, guidance, and strategies each and every Wednesday. So follow along and always remember to take notes and take action. We're going to begin this episode, like we always do, addressing the latest Bitcoin news and price action that has taken place since the last episode. Armando and I are going to explain what we think is going to happen next for Bitcoin and how that aligns with the halving that is just 3 weeks away. It's crazy, we're that close. From there, we're going to deep dive into tokenization and AI coins, as there are a lot of major developments in this sector. Lastly, we're going to address the SEC's settlement offer to Ripple. So buckle up, because this is going to be an action-packed episode. And before diving in, go to the comments section of the podcast and let us know what topics you want us to cover next. Okay, let's get into talking point number 1, which is the Bitcoin update. Armando, Bitcoin closed its weekly candle above 71,000, which is the highest weekly close in Bitcoin history. At the time of this recording, this Bitcoin has opened the new weekly candle down about 3.5%. What do you make of this, and kind of spell it out for the audience of what our thoughts are?
Yeah, I mean, Bitcoin closing a weekly candle above 70,000 is huge news for Bitcoin and the related cryptocurrencies. What excites me most is we were able to reach that pinnacle before the halving, which I didn't expect. A lot of people didn't expect. We're a lot higher and we're a lot further than we thought we would be at this point in time. So it's very exciting what's happening right now with the price action of Bitcoin.
Yeah, this is huge, and I think it really speaks to the strength of Bitcoin this cycle. And again, we've never seen all-time highs pre-halving, so this is somewhat unprecedented waters for Bitcoin. And walk us through that in your thoughts of what that means for the average investor out there.
What that means is that there's very strong fundamentals leading into this halving, right? Is that, like you said before, and I want to reiterate it, is that we've never seen Bitcoin past previous highs before the halving, which is right about to happen, right? That's going to give us a lot of momentum leading into this next cycle. Actually, I thought that the price would be up higher today than it has been because of all that momentum, all that hype. But, you know, a retraction is okay. A slight retraction is what we're seeing right now. But I did expect to see more hype leading into this week.
Yeah, I agree, but I don't think it's anything to panic about. You know, we've seen all these reports this week regarding wallets that have been held since 2010, 12, 13, whatever, that are taking profits, and that we could contribute some of this volatility to that. But I don't think that's a bad thing. Each time we've seen dips in price, we've also seen strong recoveries. So until that trend changes, I'm not going to worry too much about the short-term price action. It just doesn't make sense. You always hear me say, when in doubt, zoom out. And right now, the technicals just have been so neutral. So in other words, there's nothing screaming either direction on the charts right now for us to worry about.
Yeah, I mean, what's happening right now is that we're starting to see some consolidation. And that's what we're expecting, right? Because over the last 3 to 4 months, we've seen either Bitcoin go straight up or straight down, a lot of volatility, a lot of price movement, but we had to expect that consolidation would happen. And this is the best time, I think, for consolidation to happen is pre-halving. So we have to remember that Bitcoin is an immature asset, right? So there's a lot of volatility in an immature asset. Now, Bitcoin came out in 2009, but we're only 14, 15 years in to this asset. Gold's been out for thousands of years. Stocks have been out for a couple of 100 years if you look at the international market. So Bitcoin is still very immature, very new, so there's a lot of volatility, which will come down with time. For me, I would expect Bitcoin to stay between 63,000 and 74,000 until that next big move occurs. If Bitcoin is able to stay within that range, I could see the altcoins start to pump, and I could see a lot of movement with those altcoins. What do you think, Robert?
Yeah, I think it's a great point. And normally when the technicals are in a very neutral state, that is a sign of consolidation to come, like you said. And so when Bitcoin consolidates in bull markets, that is typically a time when altcoins start to pump. And so if we're right and Bitcoin does start to consolidate in a wide range, we can certainly expect for altcoins to start pumping again as well. That's the way it's happened in the past. Assuming it happens that way this time, that's where we're going to be in the coming months.
Yeah, and consolidation makes a lot of sense because you got to remember within the banks, the rich and elite, there's early adopters, mid adopters, and late people that come late to the party, right? So a lot of the early adopters like BlackRock, like Fidelity have already entered the market. But now we have some of the late banks, some of the late investment organizations that are coming into crypto right now, and consolidation makes sense for them. It's a great entry for them to come into the market and start to accumulate. The most important thing we must realize is that in these consolidation ranges, this is meant to bore the average investor, to get you to look away. Oh, nothing much is happening right now. Not a lot of price movement. A lot of the investors, like you said before on a previous podcast, they think that investing is always excitement and always supposed to be at a euphoric state. And it's not like that most of the time. So these consolidation ranges are meant to bore you and say, it's over, and you give up, sell your assets. The banks, the elite, and the rich are able to come in and buy them up at cheap prices. I say this to you to make you aware of the tricks that are being played. You've been had, you've been taken, and you're being bamboozled. Patience in times like this is very crucial, and you have to remember to have that bigger picture in mind.
Yeah, that's a great point. And I like to always say, when in doubt, zoom out. I know everyone following along is sick of hearing that, but it's just so true. We still believe there's a ton of upside left for Bitcoin, and so we want to continue to urge all of you to remain patient. Now that we've discussed a potential scenario in which Bitcoin begins consolidating, we want to cover altcoins and which sectors we believe will begin moving if Bitcoin remains range-bound for an extended period of time. But before we do, let's take a minute to hear from our amazing sponsor, Propy. So whether you're a real estate professional looking to modernize your practice or a buyer-seller eager to navigate the market with the latest technology, Propy offers an unparalleled platform that simplifies, secures, and revolutionizes real estate transactions. Get ahead of the curve and explore how Propy can transform your real estate experience today. For more info, go to propy.com. And for the side hustle no one is talking about, go to propykeys.com and learn how to mint properties and landmarks on the blockchain. And remember, since calling out Propy, we saw a high of $2.92, which from our entry at 48 cents is over a 5x return already. So let's go into talking point number 2, the altcoin sector set to boom. In last week's episode, we went into great detail about tokenization of real-world assets and why we believe that these coins would begin pumping soon. We gave out a couple of new plays. Armando, you could take us through how they're performing so well and some of the new stuff we're talking about.
Absolutely, Robert. Last week, we discussed that we're going to look into buying a lot of these tokenization projects and coins. BlackRock has just now officially entered this space. Right? And it's very important to watch how the big banks move, because I don't hate big banks. I know I always talk about what BlackRock is doing, what Fidelity is doing, what all these other big investment banks and organizations are doing. It's because we don't want to hate them. We want to follow what they're doing. They're the smart money. They have unlimited resources to research and to investigate. And if they're wrong, they make it right. So that's what we do here is we follow the smart money and we see what they're doing to be able to take advantage of that information flow. When BlackRock makes a big move in crypto, none of us should take it lightly, right? Because we understand they're the leaders of the market now. And when they make a move, the money is going to flow. The same way me and Robert see what BlackRock is doing and we jump in the market after we see what their actions are, there's hundreds or even thousands of people all over the world that watch BlackRock as well. So even if they do make a mistake, they correct it because they have access to the media, they have access to resources, they have access to capital to make their mistakes correct. So they never ends wrong for them, and very, very rarely does it end wrong. That's why we recommended a coin like LCX in the last episode. LCX is a major player when it comes to transactions of tokenized assets. So we understood that major narratives can form around a coin like this. Last week we called it LCX. It's already up 55% in the last week.
Yeah, it seems like every time we call out a new coin on this show, it almost immediately begins pumping. But this isn't by luck, though. Our other major call out from last week was NXRA, which is also up over 100% since our last episode. We've been around the stock market and crypto markets long enough to know what drives them. And when analyzing the tokenization of real-world assets sector, wow, that's a mouthful, it was almost a no-brainer for us. It's not often that you see a new sector emerges that you can tangibly see how it could become a multi-trillion-dollar sector so quickly. And tokenization is one of those rare scenarios, and we saw an opportunity to get in when BlackRock was, which is so important because, as you hear me say all the time, we don't have to be first to a stock or a crypto or any asset. We just have to be ahead of the general market. We have to be ahead of the masses. And I think this should show you that oftentimes the answers are right in front of you. You just have to be able to identify them and act on them quickly and without emotion.
Exactly, Robert. Like I always say, the masses can never get rich. So if you find yourself with the masses, it's something wrong. You have to be ahead of the masses. That's why I hope that all of you guys pay attention when we speak. We're not going to be out there holding your hands. We're not going to be out there like a kindergarten class, like showing you exactly what to do. You have to do that on your own. But we are going to lay out the information that will make you successful. From there, it's your responsibility to, like Robert says, take notes and take action.
Yeah, speaking of taking action, there's another major development in the altcoin world that we must shift some of our attention to, and this is a really important one. 3 of our biggest callouts to date in crypto have been SingularityNet, Fetch AI, and Ocean Protocol, which for those of you that are new to the podcast are AI coins. We've owned these coins for a long time, and they've had extremely strong fundamentals since we first found them. I actually called out all 3 of these coins in Q3 of 2022. I looked back today because somebody asked me because they said that I called out Fetch when it was at like 7 cents, which is awesome. I don't know what the return on that would be, but it's pretty incredible. So last week, news broke out that these 3 AI coin leaders are planning a $5 billion merger to create one coin, which will be called the Artificial Superintelligence Coin, or the ticker will be ASI. The announcement of the approval and launch of this coin is happening this week, so it's going to be exciting to see what happens there and how quickly this coin explodes. But also everyone that owns Fetch and AGIX and Ocean Protocol already, your shares will just be migrated into the new coin. You lose nothing and you'll be able to just go along for the ride. So this is really, really a great project that could be the top leader in AI moving forward.
Now I don't think people realize how huge this news is. This is exactly what we've been talking about over the last few months, is that the AI narrative is starting to move into cryptocurrency. So when most people hear about news like this, all they see is potential gains. This is perfectly natural, but there's nothing wrong with looking at it this way, even though they're missing one of the biggest points. The reason for this merger is that it's so significant is because now 3 of the most advanced technologies in crypto that are based in AI now are going to merge together with one another. And this is going to exponentially increase the growth capabilities. And in the long term, or even the short term, it will dramatically affect the price of this ASI token. These are the types of moves that truly cultivate scalability in emerging technology. I truly want to make sure that everybody is paying attention. This is a huge, huge event that is happening. And I hope you guys truly understand what is happening right now in AI and cryptocurrency.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's a great point. It's also important to look at some of the other emerging AI cryptos. Just because these 3 are combining forces doesn't mean that they've won the race and they're going to be the end all be all. There's a great chance they will be, but there still will be other great crypto AI companies that'll likely join forces, and we have the opportunity to get in on them before this happens. One of the emerging AI coins that we really love and we've talked about a little bit here lately is PAL, P-A-A-L. That's an AI coin that we really like and is performing very, very well in the recent bull market. And we expect to see them continue to grow and potentially be a major player moving forward.
Exactly. Like I said, AI and crypto will be a major narrative going forward. Just make sure you pay attention. Make sure you listen. And we just gave you 2 major altcoin sectors to watch right now that could be profitable in the future. We really are trying here to help you get into a position of strength when this bull market really starts to take off after the halving. But it's going to be up to you to take action. We always urge you to do your own research as well. And that's actually what we want you to do. Do your own research. That's how you learn. That's how you grow. That's how you become a better trader and investor. We want each of you right now to drop your favorite AI and tokenization coins that maybe we've missed. and drop those comments right now. We can't wait to see what you guys are going to put in those comments, and we'll research and we'll talk about it on the next upcoming episodes.
Yeah, it's exciting for me, but it's also somewhat frustrating, as we saw on our public live last week together. It seems like so many people now are out of the phase of learning and wanting to learn, and they just want us to give them the cheat codes. They literally want us just to tell them what to do, give them the call outs, and then they can go get rich and buy their new jet skis and their Porsches or whatever floats their boat. And for me, I want people to understand we are here to educate. We are not here to give you just call outs. We are not here to tell you what to do. We are here to give you the best possible information we can each and every week to help everyone reach financial freedom. So that was such an extensive section that I think we have to make our next one brief so we can not overload our listeners with so much information. So let's briefly touch on a major story which developed last week, which will be our third and final talking point before we take on our favorite part, which is all of your great questions. And that talking point is XRP's settlement is nearing. And what does this mean? It was reported this week that the SEC set a settlement price for Ripple at $2 billion. What are your thoughts on this, Armando? Because I think it's ridiculous, and I want to hear your takeaway.
It's completely ridiculous. Before this SEC stuff happened, I didn't like XRP. I actually liked them because they stood up to the SEC, which took a lot of courage and a lot of guts. And when I looked into the technology, I started to like it a lot more. But this is completely ridiculous. The SEC needs to stay out of cryptocurrency. They're going to curtail the United States going forward. Other countries are going to beat us because they're going to have less regulatory environment. So like I see, but at minimum, we could see light at the end of the tunnel. So a settlement, they may come back and negotiate, maybe it'll come down, and at least all of this stuff will be behind us.
Yeah, I think, as another side note of this, we're very fortunate that we've seen everything that we've seen in the last few months with the SEC losing with Ripple and everything that they've been doing over the last few years, because had we not seen some wins in the crypto space, this bull market wouldn't be happening, and more technologies and companies would be moving abroad because they would just be sick of having stifled innovation here in the United States. So it's very important that we have had these wins recently and we're seeing this bull market, because otherwise U.S. adoption and innovation would have been really in trouble. So that's very important for everyone to understand. So we talked about the SEC in regards to Ethereum last week, but it just seems ridiculous at this point that a $2 billion settlement, after they already proved that they weren't a security, it just seems excessive to me. And I think it's important to realize that this was just the SEC's initial offer. I'm sure Ripple's lawyers are going to do a great job tearing that apart and coming up with a better settlement. So we'll keep you all abreast of that as we move forward.
And the SEC reminds me of when we were small and my little brother, he'd lose at Monopoly and he'd flip the board over.
Yeah.
They lost the lawsuit, but now they can go back and go for a settlement. And the $2 billion will almost kill Ripple. That's a lot of money for a company to come up with. It'll stifle their growth or will almost kill them. That's what they're going for. But hopefully in the negotiations, that price will come down.
Yeah, I just don't see a world now that BlackRock, Fidelity, ARK Investments, and everyone else has so much at stake. I mean, billions and billions of dollars are at stake in these markets. I don't see a world where Gary Gensler gets away with much more. So that's why I'm still bullish and full steam ahead, because I just don't see it happening.
Yeah, I think it's coming to an end.
Yep. I'm excited for it to get through this case and finally give the loyal XRP army what they've been waiting for years. I'm one of them. I think the adoption and the project is incredible. And so, yeah, I'm excited for this to all be a thing in the past, and we can just look at adoption, technology, and disruption in all the markets that crypto and blockchain bring to the table. And that'll be really exciting. So let's move into our final section of the podcast, which is answering some of these great questions from all of our amazing audience. So Armando, why don't you take question number one?
Mary Beth asks, if you don't hold your crypto on Coinbase, what other methods do you use for holding your crypto? Well, we always believe in hardware storage devices, and that's Arculus. That could be Ledger, something that's off the exchange, because we saw what happened with FTX, and we just want to make sure we're secure going forward.
Yeah, I love that. How I generally do it is I keep a portion of my crypto proceeds and portfolios on these exchanges, Coinbase, crypto.com, whatever they may be. And those are the ones that I'm making moves with. And then I pull off some of my bigger portions of Bitcoin or Ethereum or Chainlink, and I put that in cold storage. And I think that's just a great method for everyone to follow. So our next question comes from Bella. You said it's better to have a few really solid altcoins than spreading out across too many altcoins, but you guys give so many great call outs. How should I go about selecting from your call outs? This is a great question, Bella, and I deal with this every single day. And it's really just all about defining a certain amount so you don't find yourself spreading out $100 into 80 coins. I'd rather you have $200 into 40 coins or 300 into 20 coins or whatever the math adds up, because you just want to make sure, in my opinion, you have 5 strong coins or 5 strong assets in each sector. And so that could really get you narrowed down to 15 or 20 total coins throughout your crypto portfolio. That's the best structure I could tell you of how I do it and how I would do it moving forward, because you're absolutely on the right track. You can't chase every coin. If you do, you're going to become a gambler and you're not going to have a really kind of figured out portfolio and really be able to get the most value and gains out of this bull market.
Our next question comes from Grieber. What are your thoughts on ICP as an investment for this bull market? Now, for those who don't know, ICP is a cryptocurrency out there with a goal to decentralize the internet. The funny thing about this is that the internet was created to be decentralized. But over time, the corporations and the government or whatever have centralized it back into, I think, 4 or 5 nodes in the United States. So now it's centralized, but it was created to be nuclear proof and decentralized. So ICP is trying to decentralize the internet back to what it used to be or should have been from inception. So I really agree with this goal. And I think ICP is positioned well to take advantage of the Bitcoin, the crypto bull run in general, and also the AI crypto movement narrative that's coming in this bull market. So I think it's a bright future for ICP.
Okay, so our last question of the evening comes from Roland. What are 3 of your favorite altcoins right now, and what price do you see them reaching this bull market? Roland, great question. I'm going to give you guys all some call outs, but I'm not going to give prices, because anyone that can call out a price and give you an exact price in this bull market is just making it up, because nobody really knows exactly where the prices are going. We are taking the action, we are taking the charts and figuring it out as we go, but I like to give ranges. But in this instance, let's just talk about some coins that I'm loving and that we've been adding to our positions between Max, myself, and Armando. And those coins would be Rio, RIO, LCX, PYTH, PITH, and a new one for me that I just started adding to this week is Ondo, ONDO. Those would be the 4 call outs that I would give right now. Some are not brand new, but they are still my favorites, and I think they're great ones. I want to thank each and every one of you for listening and following along. You can find us on Instagram at Crypto Trends Podcast and on Spotify, Apple, and YouTube. We are so excited for the rest of 2024 and beyond, and sharing all of our crypto insights with all of you. If you love the podcast, please share it with a friend and give it a 5-star review, and we'll see you next week.